Welcome to OState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Fans, today we have a very, very, very special guest. The head baseball coach at Oklahoma State University, Josh Holliday, joins. Coach Holliday, thank you so much.
Yeah, haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
Good to be back with you.
Matter of fact, haven't seen you, I don't think, since the end of last season.
Right.
So let's back up. Brock Thompson hits a huge home run against Georgia, which was absolutely outstanding for a million different reasons. Thought we had Duke, at least in that first game, but boy, a grinder of a season. I know was one of your most difficult in terms of grinding through it and finally catching some wind there at the end. But just kind of back up and take us through and put a button on last year.
Oh, I think it was very rewarding. I think the way it finished was something that you never forget. I'm very proud of that group of guys for a number of reasons. Obviously, so many times we engage in a competitive regular season and work all year to build a resume for a chance at the postseason, and then it's what you do in the postseason that you're trying to make a run. You're trying to get hot. You're trying to get hot at the right time and carry that streak into a College World Series type opportunity. The regular season for us was a series of highs and lows, ups and downs, constant adjustments, and that team, to their credit, found themselves, and they found themselves just in time and put us in position to make a run, and we did that. We played very well in Athens. Obviously, that was a unique regional. To not have Sean and to lose him right before the start of the first game with an illness threw us into a little bit of an adjust-on-the-fly mentality. Mario had to take the ball on 10 minutes' notice. We lose game one, but we rallied back, win the morning game against Binghamton, and then returned to play Georgia in an elimination game. We knocked them off in a game that I'll never forget, and then took Duke to the wire there in the first championship game of the regional. I think had we pushed through that one, Sean maybe could have pitched the next day, and who knows what could have happened. But the kids gave us everything they had. They emptied the tank emotionally. They did it physically, and they did it on behalf of the program. They kept a proud tradition very much alive, and they protected our brand in terms of being a gritty, tough bunch of baseball players, and they went out to Athens, and we competed awfully well. So very proud of that team. At the season's end, we had a lot of guys get drafted and advance in their careers, which is exciting. And we had a lot of guys come back, and that's also exciting too. So another great set of experiences, relationships, and memories built in 2025. And some people spoke to the other day, they talked about some teams that had hosted regionals and were top seeds. And I said, yeah, they had great regular seasons, but we won more games in a regional than they did. So our kids competed at their best at an important time of the year, and that's at the regional level. So in the end, I think we found ourselves. And we came up short of the ultimate goal, but we did not come up short in our mission, and that was to fight until the end and get the most out of our team.
Did you have any thoughts about Coach Walton at that time, as far as him retiring or any of that? Or let's celebrate Coach Walton before we move on here.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that Rob's intentions to retire had come to where he made a final decision until the Arizona State series, where he kind of said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm at peace with the idea that I'm going to go ahead and retire. So we coached those last couple of weeks knowing that was going to be the farewell tour, if you will. And we played awfully well during that stretch. We played great in the Arizona State series. I want to say the next series may have been Baylor. My memory's a little blurry right now, but between Baylor, Arizona State, the conference tournament, and the regional, we had a lot of fun that last month. And Rob did a great job here for 13 years. A remarkable job, and we'll always appreciate the way he poured himself into our kids, the amount of years he's given Oklahoma State baseball, and all the great things that he did as a player, as a coach, and obviously now as a proud alumni. He's got an awful lot to be proud of here.
You did well plucking Coach Hawksworth from Oregon. I can tell you he's very well respected. He comes from a great program that has everything you could want in terms of facilities and all that there at Oregon. So how did you come about getting Coach Hawksworth?
Yeah, so when Rob let me know of his intent to retire, I had really not given a whole lot of thought to what I would do without Rob. So it wasn't like I had a short list in my drawer that I just pulled out of, hey,
really?
This is who I'm going to hire.
Okay.
So I began a little bit of a worldwide dive into who the best pitching people were out there in baseball. And I took about, from the time Rob let me know until the time Blake came on board, it was about a month. And spoke to people all over the country, the East Coast, West Coast, pro ball, college baseball, minor leagues. Really wanted to understand like who the really effective, trustworthy, smart, kind of progressive coaches were in the area of pitching. And I had a list of about 20 names after those phone calls. And as I started going down the names, I looked at lots of smart, unique guys, great skill sets, unique backgrounds. But there was something about Blake, his background, his nature. I had some familiarity with him from the time he spent with the Cardinals when my brother was a Cardinal. And my initial phone call with him, first I called Coach Wazakowski and said, hey, can I get your permission to talk to your coach? And he was great. He said, sure, go ahead. You'll really like him. You know, he said he's really good. So we had great conversations. I thought he was really in a great spot in terms of his passion for coaching, his curiosity about learning constantly, better ways to teach, better ways to make players perform. Well-rounded in his teaching skills. You know, the pitching side of baseball, much like the hitting side, there's lots of new technology. There's lots of new theory. But there's also the mental game. There's the preparation cycle. There's the relationship side. There's the strategy side. And then there's the relatability piece. And I thought he had a great amount of value in all those areas. I felt like he was well-rounded in how he intended to teach. And I liked that because I think too much of, you know, the mechanical side can be limiting, but not enough of it could also harm you.
Correct.
And being too reliant upon mental toughness and not having enough physical skill can get you beat, but mental toughness and mental skills are important. And so all those things being said, I thought he had a great, well-rounded approach, and I thought we'd be able to recruit very successfully to that skill set. And the fact that he wanted to be here, you know, it did not take us long to kind of realize that, hey, this has a chance to work. So felt real good about him and his wife and their family and just his background. And we know some, even though we never spent time together, we had known some people, common friendships and common acquaintances in this game. And I think we were both very comfortable in having those conversations with those people that it'd be a great fit.
This might be a question for him, but what was I mean, he was in a great situation at Oregon. They have every tool you could possibly want. I've talked to several pitchers that he actually played for him at Oregon. Yeah. And so what was the draw of Oklahoma State for him?
Oh, I think he really enjoyed Oregon. In fact, I know he did. I think he was part of something there that was very successful and going really, really well. I think he saw something in Oklahoma State that was different. I think he liked the tradition. He liked the current state of where the program was. With so much changing in college baseball right now and college sports in general, he liked where we're positioned, and he liked our geography. I think a unique opportunity to get to the middle of the country, and you know, Oregon kind of being up in the Northwest and playing in the Big Ten. That's a unique, strong, challenging dynamic weather-wise and travel-wise. So I just feel like Oklahoma State for him brought everything he was looking for. And I think he liked the staff that we had in place. I think he saw this as a great fit for him. And it seemed comfortable. It seemed like it lined up really well. And the school was great. The school gave us great support in going out and making an aggressive offer to get a great coach.
All right, let's dive into this year's season. We'll get into the recruiting here in a minute, but first of all, let's address the fall season. Very offensive. I mean, not to say the pitching was bad, but I mean, your guys hit and hit and hit every single weekend. You have to be excited about that. Talk about fall.
We had a good fall. I thought the kids, maybe this fall as much as any, were extremely, extremely motivated to be all about the work. The daily approach towards the work was really, really good. I thought what stood out for me was the way the veteran players, and listen, you know, being in a program for your fifth year can sometimes be challenging. Sometimes it's like, I've already watched this movie 5 times. I'm not going to pay as close attention anymore. And we got just the opposite of that. Our veteran players were maybe as motivated as I've ever seen them. Their attention to detail was elite. They policed and brought the locker room the right way to do things and set a great standard for everyone else, and then went about showing guys when they did things wrong how to do it right. So the work ethic and I think the desire to continue to push not only this team in their career here, but their passion to want to keep playing baseball beyond college set a very high bar for what practices should look like. So that work ethic was established early. I think Aiden did a great job, as did Brueggemann, of coming back with something to prove and areas to grow in. I thought Avery Ortiz came back this fall, as did Garrett Scholl, on a mission. Those kids I thought had very, very strong performances throughout the fall. Richie did some great things in the fall, a little limited at times, but when he was really healthy, he really showed some of the superstar talent he has. And a lot of newcomers. I mean, there's a lot of new people here that are going to impact our team in a big way. But I was pleased with the fall. The injury bug bit us a few times. We had to dance around that, but the weather was wonderful. We got the work in. We thrived academically, which is always a strong sign that we're doing the right things each day, which is part of being a good player, is being a good person, being a good student, being a consistent, disciplined performer. You should do that in all phases. So those things seem to show up pretty regularly. And we've been pushing really hard. Not until the Friday before Thanksgiving did we take our foot off the gas.
Yeah. Aiden and Avery, are they completely healthy?
We're healthy there. Aiden has gotten over his shoulder reconstruction. Avery's legs seem to be playing really well underneath him. You look around the infield, there's some familiar faces. You have an Aiden Miola back, you have an Ortiz, a Brock Thompson, Colin Brueggemann, you have a Garrett Scholl who's played really well on the infield.
Yes. Third base.
Played some third, played some first. We know last year he could play all three outfield spots. Freshman and Terrence Bowen from Atlanta, I thought showed some real promise during the fall. He's a pure hitter and an athletic player.
I noticed he started against Cali too, right?
He came in, I think, the fourth or fifth inning. I think Brock got hit in the ankle about the third inning, so Terrence came in for him right away. But those kids, along with Evan Saunders, a transfer from Iowa Western College, and Ty Kennedy, they did the vast majority of the innings at short, second, third. At first base, Brugge obviously returns, and he's made Diego Pavia my favorite college football player, because without Diego Pavia, there is no Colin Brueggemann for an extra year. So we're thrilled to have Brugge back. He too, much like Aiden, even though it's my fifth year, I'm determined to be the best I can be, and I've learned a lot over time. How do I make this my best year yet? So those are great conversations when kids are bringing that to you. Freshman Sebastian Norman, who reps both at first base and the outfield, is an exciting player. He's as strong as any freshman you'll see, but what separates him is he's equally as fast. 235 or 40-pound guy that can run like that. Well, I don't know that we've had anyone like that in quite some time. So he's a physically gifted kid who got better as time went on and continues to learn, and has a great outlook on this. Hey, I'm learning. So even though there's some days that are a struggle, there's growth taking place because I'm figuring some things out through this. So we had good reps there. Catching position, Casey, it's a new position for us. Ian held down a vast majority of the innings caught, and Bo Sylvester, who complimented him back there, as did Charlie Carter. Those guys both transferred in hopes of playing a more guaranteed starter's role elsewhere. So we brought in Campbell Smithwick from Ole Miss. I think he's going to do a great job for us. Left-handed hitting catcher with a high IQ, and missed some time with some little small nagging injuries. But when he was healthy, especially at the end, he played really well. You'll like him. Quinn Shambo's a freshman from Illinois, and he's an elite thrower. Throws the ball to second base like a guy who, the old catching priority sheet would say this position, first and foremost, you need someone who can catch. Well, he can really do that. He can really throw. He can do that. He's athletic and can block. He can really do that. He's a former high school quarterback, so he moves well. He's not a stationary target. He's an athletic catcher, and he swung the bat well. He had a nice fall. He held his own every single time out there. And Brady Francisco would be the third member of our catching core. High baseball IQ, got better and better as the fall went on, has nice experience underneath his belt. So we have 3 guys back there that are smart, that recognize the role of the catcher, that embrace the mentality needed to be a catcher, but also that can produce not only defensive skill, but also create some offense. So those kids will do a good job. We'll be able to, replace the quality catching that Ian brought us for a number of years. So we're in a good spot behind the plate, and we do have some depth, which is important, right? You never want to go into a season as a 2-man unit because you're 1 foul tip or bad hop away from being a 1-man unit. So we have some depth at catcher, and that'll be important because they'll be a huge part of leading the team and also working with a pitching staff that has a lot of new faces.
Very impressed with Ezra Essex, who hit 2 inside the park home runs. I actually timed the second one, 15 seconds all the way around the bases. And then Remo Indomenico out of Chicago, great bat-to-ball skills, great presence, seems to have a high level of swing decisions at the plate. Talk about those 2, and then Danny Wallace and Cole Platts and a couple young men from Kansas and Nebraska that really showed out very well this fall.
Yeah, I think our freshmen this fall were fun.
Yes.
I saw them grow. I saw them gain confidence. I saw them start to have fun. I saw them begin to enjoy the challenge that college baseball offers. Ezra's he's an elite runner. He's on the running scale. He's probably as fast a kid as we've had in quite some time. I'd put him up in a race against anyone, and he'd probably tell you the same thing. So he's a great runner. He runs the ball down in center field well. He has the ability to put a good, solid barrel on the ball and impact the ball. He's not just a singles hitter. He's a guy that can line the ball into a gap, and when that happens, it's extra bases. It's going to be a triple if it gets to the wall. There will be no doubles on anything that he hits. So he runs like the wind, and he's an aggressive kid. He injured his thumb early in the fall, continued to practice, and then had surgery on his thumb right after the fall ended. So he played the fall with a level of toughness that said, hey, I'm here to compete. I want to help this team win. Remo Indomenico is a unique player. He kind of has a flat bat and a gap-to-gap line drive swing. He's also an excellent runner. He and Ezra would be a fun race. If you put Ezra, Danny, and Sebastian out there, that'd be a fast group of freshmen. So, when you look at Remo, he has some center field experience. He has corner skills. He has a decent throwing arm. His power started to show up at the end. But I think you hit it on the head. He makes good decisions about which pitches to swing at, which pitches to take. I'd say he's advanced for his age in putting together a quality at bat. He quietly took in information and applied it, and by the end of the fall, I think he felt pretty good about himself, and he definitely showed that I can play. So those 2 kids are, they're probably not quite in that 6'3", 6'4" category that a Cabanis or a McCusker or a Schubert, but these guys are fast and athletic, and they might create extra bases with their feet as much as their barrel. Danny Wallace, freshman from Omaha. I think Danny's first 2 weeks of scrimmages, he hit 5 home runs. He is a ball of twitch. When it comes to his ability to explode, to move quickly, to cover ground, to accelerate, he does those things as well as anyone we've had. He's kind of a smaller, slightly smaller version of like a Mike Trout.
Yeah.
When you look at how he moves and plays, he kind of looks a little bit like that.
Yes.
And he's got a chance to be a game-changing player. He can do some things in a game. Runs the ball down in the outfield. Has an absolute elite throwing arm. So this is an elite thrower, great runner, true outfielder, and a guy that has shocking power. And the power is real, and he's doing all that out of a 5'11", 190-pound body. So big upside, and he's going to help us. Cole Platson, Cole got better as time went on. I think like most high school hitters, especially coming from the state of Kansas, where I know he was a marked man, ever since his sophomore year. Didn't get a lot of pitches to hit as a senior. Gets to this level, and guys are pitching him different. So he had to figure out the change-ups and breaking balls and patterns and all those things. But by the end, started to get some traction and started to feel like he was much more comfortable in the box. But strong, focused player. These guys all brought a real exciting youth, but there's a lot of upside there, and these are guys that we built the future of the program around this class.
Yeah. And so your pitchers, I mean, especially your young guys, were very impressive. Parker Jennings and some of your transfers like Josiah Golden, guys like that. Very, very impressive to mix with. Mario that's coming back. Hopefully Ethan Lund will be totally healthy this year. It looked like Noah Weck was pitching well in this fall. So will you take us through your pitching staff with whatever time you have here?
Yeah, I mean, our pitching staff right now, Mario had a quality fall. Ethan Lund had an exceptional fall. Noah Weck had a good fall. Stormy Rhodes had a good fall.
Yes.
Matthew Brown was solid. Drew Blake had a good fall.
Brennan had a good fall, didn't he?
Brendan Phillips had a good fall. Parker Jennings, freshman from California, he flashes the highest ceiling that you're going to see. You know, this is a real talent, and it's a guy that's going to pitch this year as a freshman.
How tall is he?
He's at probably 6'4"-ish, 6'5", maybe 185 pounds. So it's a tall, lanky right-hander, but his arm is electric. It's quick. The ball flies out of his hand. He's got 4 pitches.
Yeah.
This guy's got a massive ceiling. And I would say he factors into a very prominent role right away. Zane Burns, a true freshman from Arizona, very polished, very high know-how. Kyle Piercy, a freshman from the Kansas City area, was down a little bit to some stiffness in his shoulder, but was really, really strong and healthy at the end. He has a chance to have a big arm. You know, one of the guys that I think probably this fall didn't get to the mound as much, but factors a big way is Kai Fike, a JUCO pitcher from Yavapai or Central Arizona College. LeBlanc, left-hand pitcher from Odessa. I really like him as a pitcher. I think he's got strong competitive makeup and good mound presence. He's new to pitching, so he's a guy that's going to keep getting better. You mentioned Josiah. Josiah, when he feels strong, there's a good fastball in there. We got to kind of get him built back up. He got a little stiff as the fall went on, but when you look at it, pitching is such a.
Kyler Zager had a good fall, Zane.
Kyler's a lefty that I think is only getting better every time he takes the ball. Jacob Kennedy, there's some guys that are pushing that missed some time or really were working on some adjustments. Those guys, in my opinion, are going to be key to our success. Those guys are really coming on. Andrew Winslow, a freshman from Illinois, has a really, really outstanding slider.
Yes.
Big sweeping breaking ball that's tough to hit. So there's a lot of arms, without the roster like directly in front of me. I don't want to miss anyone. But where I think your pitching staff, for me anyway, establishing a good rotation, we have some guys that can do that. I think Ethan Lund's going to be very special. I think he has a chance to be one of the better left-handed pitchers in our conference. And obviously, if that's the case, he's one of the best left-handers in the country. I do believe that's within his grasp. How we line up around him, Hudson Barrett. This is an X-factor guy. Huddy was a transfer from UC Santa Barbara, where as a freshman, he was a freshman All-American. Tommy John surgery as a sophomore. It was a poorly timed Tommy John, and then it took him all the way back until the end of his junior year to return. And he returned late last season with the hopes of kind of showing that he was healthy and getting drafted. Didn't get drafted, chose to transfer, and we were the ones that were lucky to get him. He factors into this pitching staff in a big way, because when he's healthy and pitching at the top of his game, much like the guys last year, whether it was Harrison or Sean, this is a West Coast guy that can come in here and give us 6 or 7 good innings every time he goes out there. So he's the X factor, no doubt, to go along with some of the guys we talked about. T.P. Wentworth, a transfer from Clemson, in addition to being a really high-level outfielder and an excellent hitting prospect, he's going to give us depth and length on the mound from the left side as well. So lots of guys there to keep working with and bringing along. The guy that that we were really counting on in a big way was Hunter Watkins, and Hunter suffered a knee injury in the fall and had to have surgery. So his health status will be definitely something that will keep him out vast majority of the year. Whether he makes it back at the end, we don't know. But hey, Hunter was a guy that had gone to Cape Cod and logged 20 great innings and won 6 or 7 games last year. So clearly, he was part of our rotation going into this year. Tough loss, but what are you going to do? He's had surgery. He's rehabbing great, moving along the right direction already. He's in great spirits, and he will return to full health, and he will resume a very successful career. Just when that return to the mound is, we don't know. So we just have to keep on plugging away. There's really nothing new to the great challenges that every year brings to the table. We have to embrace them. But it's been a fun group. No nonsense, hardworking. We do all the right things. I like the fact that they go to class, they don't miss appointments, they take advantage of every meal offered to them, they show up on time, they say thank you. They do things that, whether people know this or not, those are not common everyday behavioral traits nowadays. These kids are doing things the way that we want them to, the way they should do them, the way a respectful person taking advantage of this opportunity would do it, in a way that our fans and our school can be proud. So those are key elements in building a team in this part of the calendar. If you're doing things right at this point, then they go off for Christmas, they finish exams successfully, they have the discipline over break to do what they need to do, because when we return here in January, it is a mad dash to get ready. And in case anyone's checked the schedule, we're opening up in the premier game in the country, the first night out against Arkansas. We'll wake up and play OU, and we'll cap it off on Sunday against Vanderbilt. So 3 top 10 teams to open the season. A lot of schools don't play top 10 teams at all. We'll play 3 in a row to open the year, and that's a pretty ambitious way to start. But let's face it, we'll know a whole lot more about ourselves after those 3 games than we would had we scheduled soft and opened up at home and brought somebody in that was inferior physically just to beat up on them and get off to a hollow start. We're going to get off to a hard start one way or another. And from there, our goal is to build a team capable of winning something meaningful.
So we won't get into the rev share and the NIL. There will be a day where we might dive into that and explain some things there. But so let's say that to say this, that it's all about problem solving in today's day and age. Whenever you're talking about money and all this kind of stuff, money complicates everything. So the recruiting philosophy here at Oklahoma State in terms of baseball, Simi Valley, Yavapai, high school coaches that have produced guys in the past that have come here, JUCOs that we've gotten from, like Iowa Western, you got Evan Saunders from there, multi-sport athletes, guys that have high quality. So can you kind of take us through just the general recruiting philosophy in terms of how you find guys in today's day and age?
Well, we're trying to get a great team built, and great teams have to be built on certain elements. And you say, well, what are those elements? Well, most of the great teams, if you study the championship teams, you're chasing an elite starting rotation. Guys that are good enough to come in and become starting pitchers are really, really coveted. They're hard to get. It takes patience to develop a high school pitcher into a true Division I starting pitcher, especially for a Friday night or Saturday job. A lot of those guys, as of late across the country, a lot of those Friday, Saturday roles have been filled with transfers that, quite honestly, were developed and built at other schools and then purchased and brought in to pitch in the 1 or 2 hole by a team in position to take on that transfer opportunity. In the major leagues, the highest paid players and the most sought after guys are going to be starting pitchers. You're going to see guys in the 1 hole and the 2 hole and the 3 hole making $30, $40, $50 million a year. Go look at the Yankees. Go look at the Dodgers. Those guys pitching in those spots are paid because those guys are super important to the success of a team. Recruiting guys that have upside, and Ethan Lund and Parker Jennings, these guys are starting pitcher types. Guys that we think can get to a point where this guy could go out and pitch 6, 7, 8 strong innings every time out and give us a chance to win. So first thing you're going to do is build a quality pitching staff, aiming to recruit guys that you think can handle roles as starters, first out of the pen role, or guys that can close games down. If you're good in Friday, Saturday, Sunday starting roles, if you're good on the first 2 guys out of the pen, if you have a couple guys late, then you're starting to solidify and build what would be a good starting rotation and pitching staff. From there, as you try to build your position player group and your team, our ballpark and our style of play for a number of years has benefited from strength. Guys who can elevate the ball and hit it. Everyone knows the south wind in Oklahoma means there's a chance to score some runs. So we've had a number of big, strong athletes across the field, whether it was the McCuskers and Cabanisses or the Schuberts and the Benjes. We've had some gifted players. We'll always continue to look for size, strength, and left-handed hitters because I think every good lineup is a a 4 to 5 man left-handed hitting lineup complemented by right-handed hitters that can either run the bases well, put the ball in play, or play excellent defense, right? So some form of a Zach Earhart or guys like this, those guys, when put together, I think give you the dynamic lineup that it takes to win, to be able to handle both right and left-hand pitching. The thing that you have to do nowadays, Casey, is freshman players right now in the recruiting space that we occupy, we have had a far greater amount of success recruiting really good high school players and getting them to college and growing them in their freshman, sophomore, junior space than trying to compete for a transfer for 1 year who may be demanding 6 figures as an open market transfer player in the summer. The number of those guys that are out there and the number of guys that you have a chance to get in on, that's a really, really tough market. We want to build our own All-American players like a Zach Earhart or a Nolan Schubert or a Carson Bench. And to do that, you've got to recruit them when they're young. You got to get them to campus, and then you get the joy of having them for 3 years, of getting to coach those kids, not 1 year, not 2 years, but 3, and in some cases 4 years. So we've recruited very effectively with the high school age group. The 25 class is a current freshman class, is a nationally ranked group. The 26 class, we just signed another group, and the 27 class will be as well. We're very effective in that age group. We're very effective in the cost of that recruiting cycle. And then we'll complement that group with good junior college players, which have always played at Oklahoma State. That's dating back into the 70s. And then the occasional transfer that wants to come to Oklahoma State that lines up with our values and that is looking for a new home rather than a payday. Those will be our spaces in the recruiting market where we can get what we think are championship players. With that being said, there's a growth curve and a patience of developing young players and watching them blossom into elite performers. And that is the task. How do we speed up the growth process? How do we create an environment where elite performance becomes the norm? And how do we stagger that to where there's a perfect blend of returning players, quality newcomers, where they can really gel as a team?
All right, let's finish this up having a little bit of fun. Zach Earhart got traded to the Dodgers. He actually played from about July on in Tulsa his entire time and really helped Tulsa turn their season around. Nolan McLean really stormed on with the Mets as a pitcher, made his major league debut. If they would have made the playoffs, he probably would have got the ball game 1 in the playoffs. And then Justin Robleski, I don't know if you watched the World Series or not, but he got into that confrontation on the mound, and I was telling everybody, that's not good. You don't want to piss Robo off, because if that happens, he's going to go into hyper-competitive mode, which he did. So can you talk about some of your pros, maybe not necessarily by names, but how proud you are of them?
Well, you just spoke to what we just talked about. Zach Earhart was a 3-year player here. A very good freshman, sophomore year slowed by injuries, junior year outstanding, 3rd-round draft choice, gets traded to the Dodgers as a high-value target for them. And now here he is in Double-A with a chance to maybe put one more great season together and maybe fill a role like a Kike Hernandez or these guys that the Dodgers have had. That's Zach Earhart, and what an awesome kid.
Yeah.
We got to have 3 years with him. He was outstanding.
He's happily pissed. That's the way I put it.
Yeah, he does function that way. Nolan McLean, another guy that we were lucky enough to get in the high school process, have him for 3 years. What he did in 1 year when he converted to a full-time pitcher and what he's doing in the major leagues is astounding. He is going to be an elite major league pitcher.
Yes.
And he showed signs of that here. His first love was hitting. He was very clear in his preference to hit. And if some people even remember, Nolan's played quarterback fall of his freshman year here. So amazing athlete, a jack of all and a master of many. But now as he focuses on pitching, I think you're going to see a guy that might even be an all-star or a Cy Young winner. He's that good. So proud of Nolan. Justin Robleski came to Oklahoma State via junior college. Another great example of us getting a chance to find an elite talent in the junior college ranks. Looks to me like he's on the verge of breaking out in the big leagues as a high-leverage left-handed reliever, starter guy, and we know those guys end up having long careers. Carson Bench, minor league all-star, New York Mets, number 1 or number 2 prospect, just out of here just a year ago. So many guys.
Bronny and Rock are doing really good too. And Huey's pitching mostly.
Isaac Stebbins and Huey pitching in Arizona Fall League. Rock had a great year. Donnie Walton got back to the big leagues again. Just so proud of him.
Yeah.
Grinding through the minors and reemerging in the majors. Andrew Heaney, finished off another year of a guy who's pitched in the major
Logan
leagues
Gregg,
now.
Brady Basso.
Yeah,
they're doing very well.
Those guys. So when you sit back and look as a coach, I mean, we're awfully proud of those guys.
Christian and Encarnacio Strand. He's been doing pretty well too.
Christian was a guy that got up there quick.
Yeah.
McCusker got to the majors as a little bit of a long shot, but he got there nonetheless and did it the hard way. So many guys that you can look at and say, gosh, it seems like just yesterday we were in Tucson and McCusker was in left and Cabanis is in right.
Yeah.
And now Cabanis is married with a baby coming. These guys are growing up. They're doing great things. They're doing what we knew they would do. It's just amazing that that much time has elapsed.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Okay, so can't ride the fence. One last really fun question here. I asked this on social media the other day, and I got all sorts of different answers. Okay, who hit the ball the furthest? Griffin Dorsch, or Nolan McLean, or Nolan Schubert? Which one hits the ball the farthest?
Well, to straightaway left field, without question, it's Griffin Dorsch.
Yeah.
Now, the height of the ball and the majestic nature of the ball, the two Nolans have that market. And I would say I knew watching Nolan Schubert down the stretch that every time he hit one of them, I stayed on it and watched it because I may never coach a player again that can hit it this high and this far. Boy, we were awfully lucky because those kind of players are super hard to find. They're even harder to recruit. They're harder to get here. But once they're here, they sure do make it fun, don't they?
Yeah.
And so, Griffin Dorsching was a gift. The transfer portal, he was a gift. He was, for what you saw on the field with the home runs and the hairdo, you never saw the joy and happiness and awesomeness that he was off the field. He was 100 ways of awesome. And Nolan McLean, what can you say? Just as talented as they come. And Nolan Schubert, I think, goes down as one of the greatest home run hitters in school history, which is a pretty cool club to be in Oklahoma State.
I got to say, the home run that Dorsch hit over, I think it went over the building, over the scoreboard.
It went over the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the one, I think McLean hit one over the hitter's eye in dead center.
Yep.
And then I think Schubert hit the track in right field.
Yeah,
so.
they did some fun stuff. We'll miss that. But, like you mentioned, too, you might see a guy hit an inside the park home run this year for the first time, too. So a lot of exciting kids here, just continuing the great tradition of guys coming from all over the country to find a home here, and it'll be exciting to see who steps up.
Close to 40 minutes. There's no other head coach on earth that would do this for a reporter. So, Josh Holliday, thank you so much.
My pleasure.